What a world. I'm not going to go too much in depth when it comes to this video with the Sacramento Kings and De'Aaron Fox and the crew. Listen, we already know with the Sacramento Kings since they've been pretty much irrelevant for the last 15 years or so. Vlade Divac as their, you know, general manager making the moves for the team, bringing in very unpredicted amount of quote unquote players for their big contracts to where nothing's really fallen in place. They haven't had a foundation of a superstar, let alone a star, for the last 15 seasons. We've seen they had the very end there with Mike Bibby and the crew. You brought in Tyreek Evans for a bit. The Sacramento Kings going with DeMarcus Cousins for 5 or 6 seasons. We've seen how everything is blown up on their side. Now, hey, luckily they did find a young cat, and De'Aaron Fox. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's kind of close to a what's the cat's name from John Morant? Yeah, I think he's close, kind of a John Morant style. Let alone he's a tier below John Morant, but his potential was kind of close to it. But John Morant pretty much he's an impact player. He knows what he's doing. But with De'Aaron Fox leading the crew, I don't see any playoffs even for the next 3 to 4 seasons for the Kings. They're in a very weird position. I'm actually going to let these guys in First Take talk about it. I'll give my take on it, but I just don't see really a future for the Kings to make the playoffs in the loaded Western Conference. Listen, you can build off with De'Aaron Fox. You're going to need a scoring small forward to be back alone with him. I think in this day and age in the NBA, if you have a point guard that's ball dominant, that can be able to score, let alone not really as a playmaker, but as a scoring type like John Morant, De'Aaron Fox, a Damian Lillard type, you need to have to pair them with a small forward, a wing player who can be able to score at least 20 a game. Not really a star player, but kind of in that mix, a young cat with him. And when it comes to the Sacramento Kings, they don't have that small forward to where they can rely upon. Listen, the Kings roster as of right now, you have Buddy Hield as your 2. You have Bogdan Bojanovic. They kind of go back and forth in the mix. You do have a couple younger cats when it comes to them. I'm not really going to mention them because they're not as impactful as of right now, what we've seen. But listen, if you're in the Eastern Conference, I would definitely build a team around De'Aaron Fox. In the Western Conference, it's too loaded, man. You got too many contenders, let alone veteran teams. And with the young teams, listen, even if the Kings do make the playoffs or if they're fighting for the 8th seed, you have young teams like Devin Booker and the Suns fighting for it, D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns and the Timberwolves fighting for it. And then the Grizzlies are always going to be in that mix. The Pelicans are looking. The Kings just don't have enough talent, let alone it's a loaded Western Conference. There's really nothing to say about it. If you're the Sacramento Kings, you may want to look to move that franchise maybe to Seattle, make some big moves on the outside because you know you're not going to make the playoffs for the next couple of seasons again. But to kind of keep everyone distracted, make a new culture, everything, I think they should probably look to move the franchise because as of right now, they're not going to make the playoffs, let alone not even the next 2, 3 seasons. No way. He won't even be the franchise player to lead you to the playoffs in the Western Conference, at least. In the Eastern Conference, he can lead you to a playoff appearance if you put a team around him with young cats upon it. But no, De'Aaron Fox cannot be your franchise player to win a championship, let alone be like that John Morant type. They're just two different type of impact players. No.
biggest thing is that they just need a superstar. I look at De'Aaron Fox as a bona fide player, a Mike Kendrick Perkins, a Mike Conley Jr. Maybe a little bit faster, a little steady, more athletic, but he's the kind of guy that can give you 18 to 20 a night. He could be a significant cog in the wheel. He's a special dude. He's a leader. I love him. But you know when you talk about the great stars in the NBA and stuff like that, that's not the kind of guy he is. He's a bona fide player that can play alongside a star and be a tremendous contributor, a perennial starter, even an all-star that again that can give you 18 to 20 a night. But I look at him like I looked at Mike.
No, I don't. No, I don't agree with that comparison with Mike Conley Jr. De'Aaron Fox he's a quick cat when it comes to it. Gets to the rim. Let alone he's played 3 seasons in the NBA. This is his third. You know, he has improved. To the first season, he averaged around 11 points, but pretty much bumped it up to 17 points. Now, let alone he's at 20, 21, round in that mix. He's going to give you 30% from shooting from three. He needs to work on that on the outside. But his field goal percentage has improved every single season. You're going from 41% to 46%. Now it's hovering around 47 to 48% for De'Aaron Fox. I know he's going to progress. I like his development, his work ethic, let alone I love his game. He can't be a number one option for your team. I think he would be a perfect second option. You would have to pair a number one option with him to be a small forward, a young cat. Maybe I can't really think of any young cats right now that can be able to do the trick. I mean, Boston is already fine with Kemba Walker, but if somehow, some way that they can get De'Aaron Fox and Jason Tatum can be the number one option, that would be a perfect, complementary player for him, both for each other that can complement their team and the roles. I can't really think of anything right now. I mean, it's just in a weird position the Suns, the Wolves, let alone the Sacramento Kings are in. The Grizzlies are ahead of schedule because John Morant's just that cat. He's an impact player. He knows how to play both sides of the floor. He knows winning basketball. And with De'Aaron Fox and these other guys in the crew, like Karl-Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, they don't really know winning basketball when it comes to the professional leagues. Yeah, the NBA is in great hands when it comes to young stars on each franchises. I mean, you have so many potential young stars in the league. I mean, Jason Tatum's pretty much evolved, Donovan Mitchell, and then with the younger cats, you have Devin Booker in the mix, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, Jaylen Brown possibly. I think that's a stretch when it comes to it. Maybe even Michael Porter Jr. for potential. Who knows about that? But yeah, the NBA is in great hands when it comes to marketing, let alone having a spotlight on different young potential stars when it comes to this league. So the NBA is in good hands. De'Aaron Fox, he can be your number one option. He's going to be a future All-Star. The Western Conference is loaded, so he may have to wait 3 to 4 seasons when some of these young cats like Chris Paul, and these other cat and like Klay Thompson gets a little older in age. But besides from that, he's going to be an all-star for sure. He can have a borderline maybe star 2 season, but besides that, not a superstar. Oh man, real quickly, if I'm De'Aaron Fox after next season when they're not going to make the playoffs, of course, he should demand a trade to the Philadelphia 76ers. And if I'm the Sixers, I would move Ben Simmons to the small forward or the point forward at the three, and I'll bring in De'Aaron Fox at the point guard. So that helps out De'Aaron Fox being a number two and a number three option possibly for that team. Championship contending status brings him to the Eastern Conference to make All-Star appearances. I think if I'm De'Aaron Fox, if you're trying to win here right now, I know he's still young, around 22 years of age, but you got to get out of Sacramento. There's his peak in Sacramento will probably be one playoff appearance, if anything. If anything, you got to go to the Eastern Conference. I can't really think of any other teams that can fit for him. I mean, if you're looking probably at the Miami Heat, if you know, I mean, if you're the Miami Heat, if you trade away some young cats like Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Dunn, or whatever the cat's name, keep on forgetting, on that team, and a couple picks to Sacramento, I mean, maybe the Kings will budge. I know they don't have the best management style and decisions, but who knows when it comes to it. I mean, if you're De'Aaron Fox, you should definitely look at the Sixers, maybe even the Miami Heat to be their new point guard when it comes to it. There's no other team in the Eastern Conference that makes sense to have contending status. The Pacers aren't there. They have Malcolm Brogdon. They're not a contender anyways. But yeah, those are the two teams if you're looking at to make a move. But he's still young. He's going to get the bag. He's going to stay with Sacramento. So, I mean, it is what it is. Listen, with the Kings right now, they have De'Aaron Fox and Morgan Bagley, the third, who they're pretty much going to build their team off of. I mean, you have Buddy Hield. They just signed for another 4 years. I think they're pretty much going to let go of Buddy Hield. He's 27 years of age. He's too old for this team. He played 4 years at OU. He's trying to get out. I think Buddy Hield will demand a trade probably in the next season or two. But when it comes to the Kings, they just don't have. It's just kind of a mesh of young guys and some veterans. The team's just very stagnant. I don't like the direction they're really at. Having Luke Walton as their new head coach, it was very debatable and skeptical in the very beginning of the season. They started to pick it up at the end. It's not good enough to where, I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, let alone. I think they're really going to have to evaluate next season, and they're really going to have to look to make a trade maybe for a Michael Porter Jr., bring in not a star player, but a young small forward on the team to get them in a direction. You need to pair De'Aaron Fox with another cat. But we also got to see what pick they get in the lottery if they get there. If you can get a James Wiseman on the team, let alone a LaMelo Ball. I know they already have a point guard and center in place, but they may have to move around to make a trade for them or something. I'm not really sure. But also another team, if you're De'Aaron Fox, you should look at the Chicago Bulls as well. I know they got Kobe Knight up, but no, you should look at the Bulls. That would be not a bad pick. Yeah, Sacramento, they're not going to get any stars when it comes to it. And that's the thing whenever you're in a small market, you're not going to attract free agents. So the thing is, you're going to have to go through the draft, let alone making some trades. So since no one's going to join De'Aaron Fox and the crew, I think they have to let go of Buddy Hield. You need to bring in a small forward on that team. I don't know what picks they'll get in the draft. I think if you try to bring in a Michael Porter Jr., he has some star potential when it comes to it. I don't really know any younger cats right now that are looking to get traded when it comes to it. You got to pay De'Aaron Fox. You got to go with that experiment. If you're the Kings for the next 3 to 4 seasons or 5, until he's an unrestricted free agent around 26 years of age. If anything, if you can't find anything, I know it's a lot of logistical moves, but look to move to Seattle. Get a fan base, get people interested. Make a different change up in spice. When it comes to De'Aaron Fox and the crew, man, I don't know. I don't foresee with their management, their owning style, let alone decisions they'll make. I think this is going to be similar to a Timberwolves and Phoenix Suns. They're not going to be able to pair anyone up like a Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, and the crew, to where they'll, they got a good future with the young stud and those teams, but they're not going to make. I doubt some of them will make the playoffs, let alone. It's just wasted years for these young cats. But I mean, it is what it is. Whenever you're in the Western Conference, that's why when you're a free agent, unrestricted, these players really should kind of create some teams or move over to the East, because in the East you have 6 teams who are going to make the playoffs that are respectable, and then the other teams are just like the Wizards, the hobbled Nets, the Magic, teams that are just laughable. But in the West, you have 13 teams in the Western Conference that are legitimate teams that could be playoff teams. But it is what it is. Let's see what happens here with Mr. De'Aaron Fox and the crew.